All right. Hey everyone. So I am Eli. I'm Mr. A's smarter and better looking and nicer younger brother. And I wanted to talk to you all about writing today, about college writing, about what your college writing professors are going to expect of you. So I'll begin with a little bit of an introduction where I'll talk about why college writing is different, and then we'll talk about process, and I'll try to give you guys a bunch of resources that I think are going to be helpful. Um, and then from there, I'll talk more generally about sort of how to improve your writing and why I think all of this matters beyond just your sort of college writing classes that you're going to be required to take your first year. So I want to begin by talking about how college writing assignments are going to be different than anything you've seen in high school to give you a little bit of a sense of, just what to expect. The first point is just that they're going to be longer. And this isn't just a comment about length, it's also a comment about what you're sort of expected to produce. The final product is going to be, the result of a whole lot of research. You're going to be compiling a diverse set of sources. You're going to be developing a persuasive and multi-layered argument. So expect to be writing more. And expect, unfortunately, to have less time to do it. Okay, this isn't to scare you, but it's just to give you a heads up that this isn't going to be, sort of 3-paragraph essays. You're going to be really developing research papers over the course of, a few weeks, hopefully. The hopefully there is because I hope that you plan ahead. The second point, I just wanted to talk about what it means to sort of make an argument, because I remember when I first got to college, this was a strange idea that every paper had to be an argument. I didn't really know what that meant. It doesn't mean that you're going to be disagreeing with somebody like I disagree with my brother when he says dumb things. It means that you're going to be developing an original perspective or take on something. Okay, it means you're going to be building a position. Okay, and you're going to be, as I said before, sort of compiling evidence to make that point. All right, so in this section I'm going to be talking to you all about process. So we're going to talk about research, about the writing itself, about citations, and finally we'll talk a little bit about plagiarism. So the first step for any assignment is just to get clear on the prompt, to know what is required of you. This means understanding the question clearly, understanding the expectations in terms of how long the assignment is supposed to be, what you're supposed to be writing about. And my advice is to really make use of office hours. Office hours is the time that every professor you have will commit each week to meeting with students. So this might be 4 to 6:30 on Tuesdays every week, and this is time outside of class to get to know your professor and to run ideas by them. And so I strongly recommend that you make use of that time. I really recommend that you all make use of your college librarians. These are people who have degrees in library science. They're literally professional research helpers, and they are hired to be there at your disposal to help you find the resources that you need to write the best paper that you can. So really make use of them, and this is just anecdotal here, but in my experience, they also tend to be very friendly and open to helping students with whatever they need to find. I know when I first got to college, I thought I don't need to outline, I'm just going to kind of figure it out as I go. I soon learned that that was not the way to write a good paper, okay, to just kind of wing it. It's super important to outline, and that means different things for different people. It can mean, a comprehensive sort of section by section documentation of everything you want to say, or it can mean just kind of producing some general ideas and figuring out how they fit together ahead of time. You are not wedded to your outline. You don't have to necessarily stick to it if you come up with new ideas over the course of actually doing the writing. But I promise you it's going to be helpful to at least have some sense of the way the argument is going to be organized ahead of time. It helps you stay on track. And it also helps the writing feel a whole lot easier. It'll go faster. I call this section "A Good Sentence is Hard Work." It's just about the expectations that college professors are going to have for your writing. Writing is not like speaking. We need to spend a lot of time figuring out the right way to say something when we're writing. And that can seem strange at first, because when I'm putting a string of words together to tell you something, I don't always spend 10 minutes trying to figure out the best way to do that, right? It just sort of comes out of my mouth. But when we're writing formal academic essays, it's different. We want every sentence to have a punch to it. We want every sentence to be as clear as possible. Okay? And this means going back and revising our work. Okay? It means that the first way that you write a sentence is not necessarily going to be the best way. In fact, it's almost never going to be the best way to say it. Okay? I know for me that the assignments that I'm most proud of are ones where I rewrote it 2 or 3 or 4 times. Okay? And that's really the sort of work that good writing takes. Okay? A second and related point is that in doing this, one of the things we're looking out for is informal language. And by that I mean anything that you might sort of say to your friend, but that you wouldn't see in a formal piece of journalism or academic writing. Okay? One easy way to spot this is just to sort of use Google Docs or Microsoft Word, and make sure that you're checking your grammar throughout, right? You can also use the app Grammarly, which I'm not terribly fond of, but some students find helpful. I would say that all of these are helpful starting points, but they are not sort of cure-alls. So it's not as if you can just use Google Docs or Grammarly, it's going to underline everything you get wrong, and then you fix that, and then suddenly you have a great essay, right? They're going to point out some sort of glaring grammatical mistakes, but we need to continue to work on our writing in ways that go beyond just sort of algorithmic support. One source of support outside of your screens is the Writing Center, and every college is going to have a Writing Center. And my experience as a college freshman and even as a sophomore was that the writing centers were enormously helpful. Now, the final stage of writing, once you're done editing and proofreading, is to make sure that you've cited your sources correctly. And I want to use this time to talk a little bit about citations. First, I just want to talk about why academic settings require citations. So a citation is where you say, hey, here's this quote, I got it from this source, it's from this author, wrote this book in this year, and so on. I think there are probably 2 reasons. The first is maybe the most obvious reason, that's just because you need to acknowledge that, in fact, it wasn't you who said it, it was somebody else who said it, and it's not a bad thing. Every academic paper that you'll see is going to have tons of citations because, remember, you're compiling various resources in developing your argument. So that's a huge part of your research. And I think so that would just be to acknowledge that it came from somewhere else. The second reason is because if somebody's going to take your argument seriously, they want to be able to check on your sources, not just because they need to know it wasn't you who said it, but they need to see, okay, did this person really say this in this way? And you need to be able to say credibly, I believe this. The reason I believe this is because person A said this, person B said this other thing, person C said this other thing, study D found this thing, right? And so you need people who are going to take your argument seriously to be able to return to those sources to make sure that you're presenting them accurately. So that's why citations are important. Now, there are a number of different sort of formats for citations. One of the most common ones is MLA. A lot of it depends on what your professor prefers, so just be sure that you're following the rubric or whatever they recommend, and be ready to adjust accordingly. So I just wanted to conclude by talking about why any of this matters. I may not be able to convince you here, but I'm going to do my best. So obviously this matters because I want you all to succeed in your, freshman writing classes, and that does matter. And those classes tend to be pretty tough. So if you're interested in maintaining a good GPA in college, it's going to be super important. But it turns out that actually in a number of fields, I would argue most fields, most professional fields, it's a huge advantage to be a good writer, right? You don't have to be interested in journalism for writing to matter. If you're interested in business and being an entrepreneur, if you're interested in the arts, if you're interested in even in technical work and engineering, in all of these fields, it's going to be a huge asset to be a good writer. And that means somebody who can express ideas clearly, who knows how to organize an argument. So I would encourage you all to sort of see this freshman writing class not just as this thing that you have to get through, although it certainly is that, but as an opportunity to develop skills that are going to make you a really appealing applicant for any a job that you apply for in the future. The best way to improve your writing is to read constantly, to read things that interest you. It doesn't have to be just the novels that you're assigned in school or anything like that, but to seek out, it can be academic journals, or it can be publications about things that you're interested in. If you love cooking, make a point of reading Bon Appetit. If you love politics, I could recommend a million different things, but The New Yorker and The Atlantic are maybe good places to start. So really make a habit of reading. That is absolutely the best way to improve your writing. Now, a less good way of improving your writing, but one that I'm here to maybe just promote in the closing seconds, is that I'm going to be offering help throughout the rest of the summer and the fall. I think we're not sure exactly what shape this program is going to take, but the idea is that I would be meeting with those of you who want extra help with writing. I think once a week or as needed, to help you with the writing assignments that you have for college, and for those of you who wanted to assign additional things that I think are going to help you improve. Okay, so this is going to be sort of a summer and fall intensive. Again, the details are still being worked out, and in fact, we welcome your suggestions if there's anything that you have in mind. But I look forward to working with some of you, maybe even all of you, in the coming weeks and months. So thank you for listening, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye.
I just wanted to pop up quickly to remind you to please complete the form that is listed in the description below. You will be entered in a drawing for a weekly $250 scholarship by completing that form. It should take you 1 or 2 minutes at most, not a big deal at all, and it's the easiest application you can complete for a scholarship all summer. So please make sure you do that. We'll select one scholarship winner each week, and best of luck. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.